We're transitioning to balance here. How do you balance that time between your personal time and family?
Yeah, so this is a ongoing. This is one that I have a lot of conversations with a lot of people, and it's always a debate because I don't think there is. I don't have the balance. I'll tell you that.
Look, hell of an intro. I tell you what you info, but I never really been the type of dude to give no info. But if you see your ends low and you trying to get a benzo, I'll give your ass some game that'll change the way that you think, bro. Super skilled with the pencil, super ill in my mental. I reminisce on life, I'm nice, here's my memento. Get it through your tempo, I get on any tempo and give it all I got. I'm hot, I got like 10 flows, trying to live on the 10th floor, across from residentials that I own. My mind stay grown, I used to think clothes, I really used to think hoes and what I do to get those. And then I switched it up, I'm only thinking potential. Yeah, like what you do, homie? What's your vision? How you thinking? How you move, homie? And is you cool, homie? You thinking building, then that's something we could do, homie.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to another one. Welcome to Walk and Grow. We are back to deliver one of the few things that we do here, which is giving you a place where you can consistently grow. But with that being said, man, let's go ahead and how you doing, man?
I'm okay. Just another day, trying to make things work. Glad to be able to get on the podcast and be able to share some insightful things with people. And just be able to get on the mic.
Yeah.
Not too hot, but we're here.
What you mean not too hot?
I've seen better days. But it's not about me, it's about the message and what we have to share today. Today I wanted to talk
Gotcha.
about time and balance. Just kind of look at, if it is an important part of our life and how we handle that. I'm gonna kick things off with time. When did you realize, how important your time was and how valuable it was, or it is to you now? At what point did you have to make certain adjustment, to be able to manage that time better?
Yeah. Man. I mean, I think it's an ongoing battle for myself when it comes to time. I could say I've recently, and I'm at the age of 27, if I have it right, that I've starting to not, I wouldn't say just recently now, but like of course within the past couple of years, just starting to value time a little bit more. Just because it's one of those things that you learn as you go through the motions of life, you just don't get back that time. So I would say I've recently, just started to really value and understand the time, how important I guess I should say time is. How about yourself?
What was the factor? What was one of the factors for me? It was really going through a lot of times where I didn't manage my time well. I had the tendency to just sit on certain stuff that needed to be done right away, and making those mistakes, losing a lot of time and just not managing it well, allowed me to see really how I needed to change things around my time management. It's still an ongoing battle because there are days where with time you also have to be consistent. There are days where it's not there, right? There are days just
Yeah.
where that consistency is not there. Whether it's because of something that happened out of my control or just because, I get in a mood or emotional or something that just throw me off my game. But I've been more aware of how important it is over the past couple of years or so. It's just having to find that right balance on how to do it, but it's not easy. It's not easy. I
No,
wanted to talk about it today
life is
because
not
it's
easy.
something that just it's just something that needs to be brought up and kind of, ask yourself that question is how are you using your time? So, um, what was one of the first things that threw you off and was like, you had to reevaluate how you approach your time and
Oh man, when did I realize that? I don't know if I could tell you exact pinpoint. I think I would say more when I left corporate. That's when I really started to understand and realize I really got to make sure my time is valuable and used at the right place at the right time, because otherwise, it's you're gonna be in big trouble. Um, when it comes to at least having your finances in order. So I would say that's really when, which again, it was a couple years ago. So this is something that I've still to this day, it's an ongoing battle myself with time management. I think I've gotten a little bit better because now I use a calendar for the most part. So if for anybody that is trying to get a hold or an understanding of trying to get on top of what they have going on a daily basis, I think the first step is maybe using a calendar. I know one of my buddies, actually, our last guest, Niles, he's one of the persons that introduced me to the to-do list that's on our phones. If you have an iPhone, you have that. He actually introduced me to that, and I've been utilizing that a little bit more as well to kind of get a hold of my day-to-day when it comes to just managing that time. But I think it's all about really, once you figure out not even what tools, once you figure out where your time needs to go, now it's finding those tools to help you stay on top of it. Because, I still to this day, I'll still get over some things and just kind of brush it off and then realize, oh man, I still got X, Y, and Z to do now. You're running through shambles, but hey, you get through it somehow, some way.
yeah, that's true. I'm glad you mentioned time and the to-do list. For me, it was mostly when I realized I had a lot more time to myself and I needed to allocate it in a better way. And one thing that made me realize I needed to adjust things is writing things down. I I was
Yeah.
forgetting a lot of stuff that needed to get done. And or think I'll remember, when it needs to be done. But I've realized that my productivity has increased significantly since I started writing things down.
Yeah.
And using a calendar as well, and just getting in a habit of when something needs to be done, just do it right away rather than trying to delay it. Um, because
Procrastination
nine
at its
times out of
finest.
10, yeah, 9 times out of 10, that procrastination is gonna be heavy. And I was one of those guy that will procrastinate a lot. And two things that allow me to get out of that, it actually is getting away from drinking and smoking. I have to say that. Because
Yeah.
I saw the impact that it has in my life, from when I'm relying on it, a glass of wine here and there is not a problem, but when we're making it like every other day or every day kind of thing, that's when you're like, it affects your productivity. And one
Uh-huh.
thing that will help me, but I'm not doing on a consistent basis, is sleeping, getting enough sleep. Which will allow me to get, because I've noticed the days where I sleep well are the days where I'm able to do a lot more, and I'm alert, I'm in a good mood and everything. But when I don't get enough sleep, it's like it's rough. It's rough to be able to get some stuff done. And my time management just go out the window, and that's what I meant by when I'm not emotionally there, my time management is off. But yeah, those are some of the stuff that kind of helped me. And still the
Yeah.
work's never finished.
Yeah. And I'll even add on to it because you've identified one of the things that hurts you more than anything, which is sleeping, not having good enough sleep. Which I think at that point in time, it's what do you do to kind of wake yourself back up throughout the day, if there is anything.
Um, Taking a nap, Taking a
There
nap
you go.
and that will help. But that's another thing I don't do enough because you will have something scheduled at 3 or 4, or you're not at home during that time, and by the time you get home, if you decide to take a nap, you mess up your sleeping schedule. So it's like that window of taking
You
a
have to
nap is
incorporate it
very
in your
very
schedule.
small. Yes, you do, and that's something that I haven't done enough. Just getting in having a better routine. I think that's where it starts.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and that takes trying different things. It's not necessarily that the
Yeah.
first thing you try will work. Just try different things because another thing that helped me is just not having a TV in the bedroom.
Hey,
Because there will be time
this
like
boy
when I
crazy.
had
You don't watch
yeah
TV?
when I had a TV in the bedroom, I will not sleep. The thing will be on, whether it's music or something playing in the background. But removing now, I'm trying my best to remove all electronics out the bedroom. But that's a discussion for another day. Um, the TV was big help. Um, because it allowed me to really just focus on other stuff. Like I'll pick up a book before I go to sleep, or I still have my laptop, right? So I'll watch a movie before I go to sleep, but then I can close it. 9 times out of 10 with a TV, you just leave that thing on, and it's not good for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would even add on to the time management aspect is, again, finding those tools that's going to help you. And I'll extend and I'll share with you guys one of my gems that I've been recently using. It's helping me a lot. Just kind of keeping track of the things that I have to do and having something in one place, because that's one of the things I've been looking for a very long time. One that I used to use is Asana. So that's pretty much a place where you can go ahead and kind of put all your tasks in a row, put them all on a board, and just one by one, if you need to, I don't know, however you like to operate, you need a checklist, cool. If you need to move it to the next board, or to say, hey, it's in the done column, you can do that as well. Which Notion is also another one that I've currently been using. Now, again, we are not sponsored by any of these guys. This is just tools that I use, and tools that I'm looking for to help me on my day-to-day. And so those are the Asana I used to use. I like Notion better just because it's the layout is a little bit better, and it just fulfills what it is I'm looking for. But those are two aspects and two things that you guys can look at as well. If you're having those places, you're having those times where you're like having issues or just trying to find some sort of balance within your time management, not only does having a schedule, but having something that you can even hold yourself accountable when there are tasks and things that need to get done, and you have to move it over to the next column, or you have to check it off that checklist.
How did you determine that one was better than the other? Like what made you
Yeah, I think
figure that out?
that was more of a personal thing rather than the software or the platform in itself. It's more of what could it provide to me and what is it that I'm looking for. Again, having everything on one page and all I got to do is scroll and then look at the topic or the industry or the subject that I need to look at, it makes it extremely easy for me to get to one thing to the next. So I just found that to be really helpful. I mean, there's nothing bad with Asana. It's just platform. I think that's really what it is. It's platform. How easy is it accessible for me to get to one thing to the next without having to go through a whole loophole? So I think that's really what it came down to. And both of those platforms are free. I'm the guy, man. I don't like to spend my money unless if it's absolutely in dire need to. So if you're like me, where you want to be like, I don't know, Ronnie, that might cost me no, those two platforms are free. If you want to pay for it, you are free to do so, but you can utilize the free version up until the point where you find it what works for you and what doesn't.
Yeah, that's true. There's actually a lot of good stuff that are free to where you don't necessarily have to break the bank right away. My follow-up question is in regard to time and family. You're somebody who have, your people around, not to disclose too much, but
Yeah,
How do
no, be
you
quiet, man. Let me share my business out there. I'll tell you guys eventually. You just gotta
how
wait for
do
the
you
next season.
how do you balance that time? We're transitioning to balance here. How do you balance that time between your personal time and family?
Yeah, so this is a ongoing. This is one that I have a lot of conversations with a lot of people, and um, it's always a debate because I don't think there is. I
Hold
don't
on,
have the
hold on, hold
balance.
on,
I'll
hold
tell
on,
you that.
hold on. I'm gonna add to that family, friends, and your work, all that combined, not just family. Go ahead.
Yeah. So then, yeah, I'll keep my answers the same. I personally do not have balance. I need it. And so as I try to figure out how is it that one can have balance in their life and one can kind of go through the motions and day-to-days of getting on that balance, the only logical thing that makes sense to me is if you literally design your life. Whereas you have a set amount of times that you work, you have a set amount of time that you work on yourself, you have a set amount of time that you sleep, you have a set amount of time that you go out and spend with your friends, your family, whoever it is. But I think up until that point, I think no one has balance, to be honest. This is just my personal take. If you haven't designed it to the point where you have allocated X amount of time and it's a set in stone, like it's, this, let's just say it's hour 3 o'clock in the afternoon. At that point in time, everything snaps. You know exactly what to do because you now put that cutoff. I don't personally have it. And until you do have that, I personally don't think you have balance unless if you have that in place. Personally
But
take it.
but don't you have days like where you feel as though you have had like you had a good balance? Like I know it may not be every day, but
Yeah, I think, I definitely have. I would say there's days, yes, but I think those days are more dependent on what I was able to get done rather than the time, looking at the time. So
gotcha. So
it's a kind of for myself, it's kind of a finicky answer and a way of looking at it, but it's primarily, I would say, based off of what I've been able to get done, it enables me to have a little bit more time, but that time isn't, we could talk about this all day, man.
yeah, yeah. I don't have a right balance. It's non-existent at this time. It's something that I'm trying to implement in my daily routine, but it it will take some work. It will
Yeah.
take some work. Um, and this is more on the time management side. When you're talking about um emotion, you're talking about other aspects of my life. I do believe that I have balance there. Um, I have a switch on and off that that allows me to stay um on the positive side of life. But when it comes to time management, that balance is still, you know, needs to be figured out. I think for the better part, for the first half of my day, yes, I have balance because I know the things that I need to get done. Those are like routine things that need to get done. But as we get later on into the day and more variable are added, outside circumstances, it's like that's where the balance becomes a bit shaky because um, it's mostly things that I cannot control. Um, and at that point, it's like being able to pause and reflect. I've been doing a lot of like internal conversation that allows me to find that once you find that inner peace, then you're able to like find some sort of balance. But in regard to time, it's still a work in progress.
You mentioned that you can.
I do believe I'll get there. Very soon too. But
you
just
mentioned how
being
you
aware.
can, you have a shift in where you could turn the things on and off. I don't know
Mm.
exactly what you were referring to, but I want to talk a little bit about that because do you really think that's balance, or do you think that's just your ability to just kind of control your emotions at that point, or
That's
exactly.
knowing yourself.
Okay.
That is knowing yourself, and by knowing yourself, you're able to create that balance that that you need, not necessarily in regard to everything around you. That's just knowing yourself.
Gotcha. So you're saying because you can have that shift, you're able to balance that side, that you're able to kind of control. Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. Again, I like the way you put it. I will say that. That's very intelligent of you, because I was going to challenge the hell out of that one. But because you say you were able to balance a certain part, that makes a little bit more sense. But I mean, if you're able to balance that one part, then now it's just focusing and balancing the next part, and then kind of moving from there. Interesting. Because I was one person that I think has it down in pack. Do you remember the guy that had the Rob Dietrich? I believe the Ridiculousness. The show with Ridiculousness.
Yeah, I do remember this show.
Yeah. So he has a podcast called, and this is no promotion again, but it's just things that I use on my daily that I find valuable that I'm sharing with you guys. But he has a podcast called Build with Rob, and he actually, I think he's one person that I've identified that has optimized and figured out every single day, hour, time of his life, like everything. If there's one person I know that has balance, it's that man. And maybe he is talking the talk. I don't know. I don't go through his daily life to kind of check it, but based off of what he shares and what he speaks on, he has it like to the hour, to the T. Like, wife knows what he's doing. Everything is set in stone. It's an entire system that he has, and it's an unbreakable one, because it's working for him, so to say, right? I don't know the specifics or the exact, but based off of kind of what he shares, he has it down in pack, where I think if you're actually looking, there's somebody that is looking for it. That's a podcast I think everyone should kind of look into. I forgot the exact episode that he talks about optimizing his time. I'm sure if you look through it, you can find it, but that is one of the episodes I think everyone should really listen to if you're struggling with, just time management or just balance in general, whether it's balancing your personal, whether it's balance spiritual, physical, emotional, I don't know. But that's one of those things where I think that it's not even I know that it will help if you just apply it.
Gotcha. Somebody else, when you were talking about somebody that, people that optimize their time, somebody that I have kind of, followed for quite some time and know that he optimizes his time very well. You can actually double check this. Michael Phelps. It's somebody that, consistently, I don't know if he still does it, but had a very, very, very strict schedule, and it worked for him. It's been proven. So that's somebody else that optimizes his time very well. But yeah, so my third and last question, is, what have you had to give up to make the two work, to make balance and time work?
Well, what
have you had to give up? What are some of the stuff that you've had to let go of in order to, make balance and time work?
Where do I start? Again, I don't believe in balance. I don't have it, so I won't really speak on that just
you
quite yet.
can talk on one. Yeah.
I would only really speak on the time aspect and what have I really given up there. Giving up video games easily. Video games was years ago, of consistently playing. Now, I play off any game off my phone. That's my video game aspect, just to kind of keep my sanity. Recently, I actually just gave up really listening to music a lot, and if anything, I've been transitioning that into kind of podcasts a little bit more. That's another one. I would say drinking and smoking, going out all the time. Just look back to what I was doing in college.
Yes, very much so.
Oh man,
boy,
that's those
it was
are the
fun
things,
while it lasted, though.
Yeah, absolutely. But those are the kind of few things that I've given up in general, to help with allocating my time, because I think as you get older, you start to realize and analyze the things that you were doing. You can't do it at the pace that you were doing that for so long. If indeed you have priorities and things that you must get done at a certain time. So that's kind of those things that I've started to give up, or I have given up to enable me to get a little bit of a little bit more control over what goes on a day-to-day in Ronnie's life. What about yourself? I'm curious.
Gotcha.
What is it that
Watching
you have?
TV for sure.
Okay.
Watching TV, it's something that I used to do every day. I will watch TV more than anything else and play video game. Um, now I do it, but I filter through what I watch. You know, in the past it will be just to watch. And also I wouldn't say I gave this up, but going out every weekend, you know, yes, it's fun, but it depends on what you go out to do, right?
Yeah.
I've kind of structured my going out to be educational, quote unquote, right? So every time I go out, it allows me to learn something new to a certain extent. Whether it's just having a conversation with somebody that's gonna help me, discover something new about myself or about the world. But no, it's no longer like just a pointless going out and just,
Forgetting
doing
the
something
night.
that's not gonna be, something of that nature. I mean, that's where I'm at with it. That's really where I'm at with it. But yeah, those are. I'm sure there's more to the list, but those are the few things that comes, right away. And just looking at my brother right now playing video games, it's just I'm like, I can't do that anymore. Even on Saturday, if I have to play on Saturday or Sunday, it's like no more than an hour, right? And we used to at least I used to be in line to pick up games the day they release and spend most of my time just doing that. But I found refuge in reading books. And that kind of that I would much rather spend the whole day reading than doing anything else, because I know it's allowing me to enhance my skills and knowledge in areas that I probably would not be able to tap into.
Yeah, I'm a reader, but you will never catch me reading a book all day. There's no way. That's a big pass for me. I have my set time that I'll go ahead and cap out to, and after that I move on with my day. But I don't care how interesting that book is. I gotta put a pause to it. And that's just knowing yourself, right? That's just that's the beauty of it. And you guys were able to kind of hear some of the things that we had to give up to kind of get a better handle of it, that time management, or even, I would put quotes on it, balance, right? Because some people believe that there's a such thing up until, well, whatever, that's another conversation, right? But yes, you were able to kind of hear some of the things that we either had to give up or even that we're using on a daily basis. So take this time, if you're still listening, congrats to you. Take this time to really sit and think about yourself. And, hey, what is it that you have given up? Or what is it that you must give up in order for you to get over that hurdle that you're at right now? Or maybe get through that little blockage that's in front of you. Because all it takes is truly indeed just sitting down, and I think just taking the time to understand where you're at, and not only that, where you're trying to go to and what's in the way of you getting there. And once you can do that, you can go ahead and put the right things in place. Use some of the tools that we discussed. Maybe even stop going out a few, like Francis says. Don't go out every weekend, or do what I do.
Come hang out.
Stop going out to forget the night. And then that could definitely help you get to that next level. But with that being said, go ahead. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff on YouTube if you're watching there. And if you're not watching, you're actually listening to our beautiful voices here, make sure to go ahead and leave us a review. Let us know the good, the bad, the ugly of what you liked or what you did not like of the Walk and Grow podcast today.